The stars outside the window glowed like silent watchers in the dark. Captain Jonas Mercer stood at the observation deck of the Earth's embassy ship, Unity Dawn, watching as the massive Volari space station, Oshara, came into view. It was beautiful silver and gold arches twisting through the void like a floating cathedral. But Jonas wasn't here to admire the view. He adjusted his collar, feeling the pressure of his role. He was Earth's first diplomat to be sent into the heart of the Volari ascendancy, an alien empire that had ruled parts of the galaxy for thousands of years. No human had ever set foot in Volari space before. Till now, the door behind him slid open with a soft hiss. Lieutenant Adams stepped in, tablet in hand. "Sir," she said. "They've granted final docking clearance. We'll land in 10 minutes. "Understood," Jonas replied. He gave the station one last look, then turned. "Is the translator course stable?" "Yes, Captain." "Enhanced and cross-checked with Volari syntax databases." "Good. Let's hope words are enough." When Jonas stepped off the ship, the air tasted strange like flowers and metal. The platform was smooth, glowing beneath his boots. Volari guards stood in formation, tall and elegant, their skin a pale shade of violet. Their eyes shone softly in the light. Calm but unreadable. Then she appeared. Princess Ilyara Velsari. She walked toward him with the grace of a dream. Robes flowed like mist, and her black hair was braided with tiny glowing crystals.
She
stopped just a few steps away, tilting her head. "Welcome, Captain Mercer of Earth," she said, her voice soft and musical. "We receive you in peace." Jonas bowed slightly, careful to follow the protocol Earth's linguists had prepared. "I come with respect and open hands," he replied. "May our meeting bring harmony?" Her lips curled into the smallest smile. "You speak well. Perhaps better than most who come before us." He raised an eyebrow. "We're the first humans here." "Indeed," she said, "but you are not. The first to seek our attention." Her words held meaning he didn't yet understand. The summit was grand, held in a hall with walls of flowing light. Delegates from other species sat in raised circles. Some were insect-like, some scaled, others too strange to describe icily. All of them watched the lone human with quiet judgment. Jonas spoke on behalf of Earth. He spoke of peace, of trade, of shared futures, and learning from each other. He mentioned nothing of war, but he knew the Volari valued strength hidden beneath soft words. He ended his speech with one simple line. "We came not because we are many, but because we are willing." There was a pause, and a sound like wind. Chimes Volari applause. Later, as the crowd dispersed, Jonas felt a quiet presence beside him. "You speak like a poet," said Ilyara. He turned, finding her alone now. "No guards, no fanfare. Do your people admire poetry?" he asked. "We admire feeling," she replied. "Real feeling. It is rare in the stars." There was silence between them, soft and full. Then she stepped closer, her eyes bright silver, looked straight into his. "Would you like to bond with me, human?" she whispered. Jonas froze. He thought of 100 things at once, political traps. Alien customs, misunderstandings. Was this a test? Was she serious? Was it a translation? Error. What ... does that mean? He asked carefully. Her expression remained calm, but her voice lowered. "A Volari bond is not romance," she explained. "It is a connection, emotional, empathic, a link between minds, offered in trust. Rare, sacred." He didn't speak. Heartbeat grew louder. "No Volari has ever offered this to an outsider," she continued. "But I have studied humans. Your minds are loud, wild, yet honest, strong. I wish to understand." Jonas looked around. No one else was near, just the two of them in the glowing hallway of an alien palace. "Why me?" he asked. "Because you are not pretending," she said simply. "Back aboard the Unity Dawn?" Jonas sat alone in his quarters, staring at the ceiling. The lights were low, the room quiet, but his thoughts roared. Why would a princess of an ancient empire want to bond with him? It couldn't just be curiosity. There had to be more. He opened his terminal and reviewed the notes Earth had collected on Valari bonds, usually between high-ranking Valari. Strengthens communication during war or diplomacy. Considered permanent unless revoked with deep pain. Requires full emotional consent from both sides. Jonas wasn't sure he even could bond with an alien. He had never shared his mind with anyone, let alone a psychic princess. That's something about her eyes. They weren't just mysterious, they were tired. Lonely. The next day he sent a message. I accept. If you'll guide me, I'll learn. The bonding ceremony was held in a quiet garden inside the station. Floating stones drifted in the air, surrounded by plants that pulsed with faint light. Jonas stood in the center, dressed in simple robes provided. By the Valari, Ilyara approached, her hands bare. She reached out, palm up. Touch my hand, she said, and open your mind. He hesitated only a second, then placed his hand in hers. Warmth. Then waves of feeling. Not words. Not pictures. Emotions. Sadness. Longing. Hope. And a deep curiosity wrapped around Jonas's thoughts. He felt her, not just her presence, but her memories. Watching stars alone, sitting in empty rooms, listening to songs that others could no longer hear. And in return, she felt him. His struggles. His fear of failing Earth. His grief for a lost brother during the Europa collapse. His stubborn belief that peace was worth chasing. Then it was done. They stepped back. Nothing had changed outside, but inside, Jonas felt a thread between them. Thin but real. I feel your truth, Ilyara said quietly. That night, Jonas dreamed not of Earth, but of Valari's shadows. He saw a masked figure speaking in low tones, plotting against humans. He saw ships rising, council chamber in chaos. When he awoke, he felt Ilyara's presence in the back of his mind. She had seen it too. The bond, she said, appearing at his door. It gave us a warning, a vision, Jonas asked. No, she said, a memory. Someone near me is planning something. He stood, muscles tense. Planning. What? She looked into his eyes. A war. Against your people. The garden outside Jonas's window shimmered softly, filled with strange glowing plants and floating stones. But Captain Jonas Mercer wasn't watching them. He stood in his quarters, staring at his reflection. His hands were shaking. He had dreamed of war? Not a nightmare, no. It was something real. He had felt it through the bond. Ilyara's thoughts had touched his, and together they had seen pieces of something dangerous. Someone was planning an attack. The door chimed. It opened before he could speak. Princess Ilyara stepped in, her expression calm but her eyes serious. You saw it too, Jonas said. She nodded. Yes. And it means the bond is working. Jonas didn't know if he should be amazed or terrified. He pointed toward the garden. Was that a dream or a memory? Ilyara looked down for a moment before answering. Not mine, but someone near me. The bond allowed us to feel what they were hiding. Jonas frowned. You mean someone in your own family might be planning a war? Perhaps, she said softly, or someone close to the throne. Later that day, Ilyara took Jonas deeper into the Valari, palace beyond the ceremonial chambers, and into the Temple of Thought. It was an ancient place, quiet and strange. The walls were made of smooth crystal. In the center of the room was a shallow pool filled with clear, glowing water. This is where bonds are trained and understood, she explained. You must learn how to control what you feel, what you send. Jonas raised an eyebrow. What happens if I don't? She smiled faintly. You may start sharing your dreams or your pain. In your sleep, Jonas sighed. So now I'm a mind radio. Not a radio, she said. A bridge. She stepped into the pool, motioning for him to follow. As he did, warmth spread around his legs, and a soft hum entered his ears like distant singing. Close your eyes, she said, and listen. Not with your ears, but your feelings. Jonas tried, and slowly he heard something, a memory not his. A small Ilyara running through palace halls. Laughter, music, then silence. The king, falling ill, her people. Growing quiet, lonely, scared, he opened his eyes. Breathing hard. You showed me your childhood, he whispered. She nodded. I wanted you to understand something important. What, that Valari are not gods? We are afraid too, we feel. Too much, and we are dying from it. Over tea made from local starflowers, Ilyara finally told Jonas the truth about her people's illness. We call it the empathic strain, she said. It began a few generations ago. Slowly, we started losing control of our emotions. Our minds became fragile. Jonas listened, silent. It's not a virus. It's not in the body, it's in the mind. Because we are empathic, we feel what others feel. And over time, it becomes too much. Like emotional overload, Jonas asked. She nodded. Yes. Some Valari go quiet, others become aggressive. Most just fade. Jonas frowned. So, what does that have to do with humans? She leaned closer. Your minds are different. Loud, messy, but also resilient. You grieve and still go on. You feel pain, but you don't collapse. You survive. Jonas gave a small, bitter smile. Sometimes, enough times, she said, that I believe your people may hold an answer, not in blood or science, but in how you live with pain. Jonas spent the next 2 days working with Valari scholars. He spoke about Orcs, history, wars, famines, loss, and how humans found ways to keep going. Poetry, laughter, stories, music, even things like therapy and group healing. The Valari listened. They were fascinated by things humans took for granted, grief circles, motivational speeches, and even old Earth movies filled with hope and struggle. One elder named Terran whispered, "Your species walks through fire, yet carries light." Jonas looked at him, because we had no choice. But not everyone agreed. That night, while returning to his quarters, Jonas heard a voice behind him. You should leave, human. He turned sharply. A Valari male dressed in black robes stood in the shadows. His face was calm, but his eyes were cold. I'm here as a guest, Jonas said. You are here as a virus, the man replied. You spread chaos with your emotions. Our people will fall if we follow your path. Jonas held his ground. Or maybe your people will rise again if they remember how to feel. The man didn't answer. He just vanished into the shadows. Jonas went straight to Ilyara. He told her everything about the threat, about the warning. She didn't look surprised. There are some, she said, who belong to a secret group called the Silken Path. They believe the Valari must return to isolation. They fear outside emotion will destroy us. Jonas asked, Do you think they're the ones behind the vision we saw? I don't just think it, she said. I know it. He frowned. So what now? Do we expose them? She shook her head. We must be careful. They have support. Even on the council? Jonas stood. Then we find proof. We don't just fight them. We show them that peace is stronger. Ilyara looked at him, her eyes shining. Human. You surprised me. He smiled. Get used to it. The next day, Jonas gave a speech before the Valari Council. He told stories not of glory, but of humanity's mistakes. He spoke of a world scarred by war and sorrow, but also of how people stood back up. He ended with this: strength is not found in silence. It's found in the choice to feel and keep going anyway. If the Valari are fading, maybe you don't need to hide. Maybe you need to remember. Silence filled the hall then. Slowly the elder Terran stood. I feel the truth in him. Others nodded, but in the shadows, someone was not pleased that night. An explosion shook the outer ring of Vel Single. Shara, no one was killed. But the message was clear. Someone wanted Jonas gone. He sat in the medical bay, thin cut on his arm being treated by Valari healers. Ilyara stood beside him, furious. They dare attack under peace banners, she said. Jonas winced, but chuckled. I must be doing something right. She looked at him. You still want to help us? He looked back. I'm bonded to you. That's not just a word. It's a promise. The next morning, Ilyara called a secret meeting of 3 trusted Valari minds, including Elder Terran. She revealed the truth that the Silken Path was planning a false flag attack to blame on humans and start a war. Jonas provided evidence, a captured data spike planted on the Unity Dawn systems. It showed tampering, sabotage. The council was shaken. A vote was called. Should the humans be trusted? Should Ilyara be stripped of her title for bonding with a foreign species? But then, something unexpected happened. Terran bonded. With Jonas just, for a moment, just a test. He stepped back, blinking. I saw fire and music and grief, but also hope. We faced the council. We must learn from them, or be forgotten. That night, Jonas and Ilyara stood on a high balcony overlooking the stars. Their bond felt warmer now, stronger. They could sense each other's thoughts more clearly. We've started something big, Jonas said. She nodded. Yes, and the Silken Path will strike back harder. He looked at her, then we'll strike with truth. She smiled. You're not like the others, she whispered. You don't fear your feelings. He shrugged. I've just had enough of hiding. G leaned closer. Then maybe you were born to bond. Their hands touched again, and the stars above seemed to flicker. The Valari station Volshara no longer felt peaceful. Captain Jonas Mercer walked through its glowing corridors with tension in his chest. 2 days had passed since the explosion near the Unity Dawn. The official word was an accident. But Jonas and Princess Ilyara knew the truth. It was a warning. The Silken Path had made its move. Now they were waiting for a response. Jonas wasn't planning to stay silent. The Council of Elders gathered again, this time in a more private hall. The large open chamber had floating lights above a dark floor that reflected everything like water. Jonas stood before them, dressed not in ceremonial robes, but in his human uniform, dark, navy with Earth's crest shining on the chest. He looked tired, but focused. I stand here not just as a human, he said, but as someone who bonded with one of your own. I've seen your fears, I've felt your pain, and I know you don't want war. He paused. Some elders looked away. Others leaned in, but someone does, someone inside this very station. He held up a small device, black and curved. This was found hidden in my ship. It's Valari tech. A message spike, programmed to broadcast fake military codes. If it had activated, Earth would have been blamed for a false attack. Gasps filled the chamber. Jonas continued. I don't know how deep the Silken Path has grown, but I know this: if we don't stop them now, your people will fall into fear, and Earth will be forced to defend itself. Elder Terran stood slowly. "And what do you propose, Captain Mercer?" Jonas took a breath. "Let me help find them. Ilyara and I share a bond. Can feel those hiding their intent. Let us follow the thread." A younger counselor, stiff and pale, shook his head. "You'd chase ghosts through emotion?" "No," Jonas replied. "Through truth." Back in her private chambers, Ilyara sat with Jonas in silence. Her long fingers gently tapped the edge of a glowing bowl of fruit. The light inside pulsed softly with her mood knees. "They allowed us access," she said finally. "But we must be careful. Can't accuse anyone directly." Jonas nodded. "Then we look for patterns." They started with the stations. Social chambers or diplomats, scholars, and Valari leaders gathered to relax and speak freely. The Valari were a telepathic race, but subtle emotions still passed like waves through the air. Jonas and Ilyara sat among them, blending in, their bond tuned to pick up strange feelings. Jonas closed his eyes. He felt peace from some, curiosity from others, then a sharp pulse, masked behind calm words. A velvet voice hiding a blade. Jonas opened his eyes and whispered, "That one, the man by the statue." Ilyara followed his gaze. The figure was tall and lean, dressed in a red-gray robe with silver lines. His face was unreadable, his eyes dull. "His name is Sarek Volen," she said quietly. He was once my father's advisor, and now, Jonas asked. She paused. He's a ghost who never left. Following Sarek was risky. He was no fool. They had to act like curious friends, not hunters. Ilyara approached him first during a formal dinner, asking about old traditions. Jonas watched their interaction, noting Sarek's body language. He was too polite. Too smooth, no emotion passed through his presence, not even mild boredom. He's suppressing himself. Jonas whispered after the meeting like he's shielding his thoughts. Yes, Ilyara agreed. Only the high-trained can do that, which meant Sarek had something to hide. Late that night, Jonas sat in the meditation chamber with Ilyara. The room was built like a star-dome, transparent walls, showing the swirling galaxy outside. Why are you helping so much? Ilyara asked him quietly. Jonas didn't answer at first. He stared at the stars, remembering Earth, remembering his brother, lost during a mining disaster on Europa. Remembering the moment he decided to stop watching and start doing. I've seen what silence does, he said finally. It eats everything. Feelings hope people. If I can stop one more silence from becoming war, I will. Ilyara looked at him. You are unlike most humans I've studied. He smiled. That's what you said before. She leaned slightly closer. Maybe that's why I bonded with you. The next day, Sarek made a move. He invited Jonas and Ilyara to a private viewing of the Hall of Ikosa chamber filled with ancient Valari memory stones. The offer was presented as a gesture of goodwill, but Jonas felt the trick behind the smile. I think he's trying to isolate us, he said. I agree, Ilyara replied, but it may be our only chance to catch him. So they went. The hall of echoes was dark and silent. Floating stones hovered in the air, each glowing with memories, recordings of thoughts, voices, feelings from Valari ancestors. Sarek stood near the largest one, hands folded behind his back. Beautiful, isn't it? He said. Each stone carries a soul. Ilyara kept her voice calm. Why bring us here? To remind you what's at stake, he said. Then he turned to Jonas. You carry chaos in your mind, human. Fire and storm. Do you think our kind can survive your influence? Because we're not trying to destroy you. We're trying to help you feel again. Sarek's calm face cracked. Just a little. Feelings, he said softly, are what killed us. Then he moved. In one swift motion, he activated a hidden blade from his robe-a-thin, a silver shard that pulsed with energy. Your bond is a disease, he hissed. But before he could strike, a blast of bright blue light hit him from the Cydelia Ra. Eyes glowing, palm raised, Sarek fell back, stunned. Jonas rushed forward, pinning him down. You want silence? Jonas growled. Then you can rot in it. With Sarek in custody, the truth unraveled quickly. He was the leader of the Silken Path, and his plan had been in motion for years. He had infiltrated councils, planted false data, and arranged the Unity Dawn bombing to frame humans. His goal was to push the Valari back into total isolation, or war, but the Council could no longer ignore the facts. And Jonas had earned more than respect, he had earned trust. Sarek was sentenced to exile in the outer void, where no voices could reach him. Days later, peace returned to Vel. Jonas walked through the garden, where he and Ilyara had first bonded. The floating stones were calm again. The light was soft. Ilyara stood by the fountain, waiting. You look better, Jonas said. I feel lighter, she replied. Like something heavy has left my thoughts. He stood beside her. So what now? We continue, she said. We share more, learn more. I want Earth's healers to come here. And I want Valari empathy to help your kind too. He raised an eyebrow. That's a big step. She smiled. We've already taken the first one, haven't we? He reached out his hand. She took it, and without words, their bond pulsed warm and steady. Peace had returned to Velshara. But peace was never simple. Captain Jonas Mercer stood at the edge of a floating platform, high above the glowing city. The stars above were still, yet something inside him felt unsettled. He had helped stop a war. He had helped Ilyara save her people, but now a harder question waited. What comes next? Inside the royal chamber, Ilyara sat with the council of elders. She looked strong in her silver robes, the light of her rank shining from the crown-like band across her forehead. But Jonas could feel her tension even from the other side of the room. "We must now decide," said Elder Terran. "What relationship shall the Valari form with humanity?" The room was quiet. For the first time in centuries, Ilyara said softly, "Our bond with another species has brought not sickness, but clarity. Hope." At another elder sharp-eyed and old nodded. "But hope is not enough. The humans are unpredictable." Jonas stepped forward. "Unpredictable doesn't mean dangerous," he said. "It means alive." The words hung in the air. Later, Ilyara and Jonas walked through the Harmony Hall, a long corridor lined with music crystals. Each one played soft notes from ancient Valari songs. "I didn't know politics would be harder than stopping assassins," Jonas said, half joking. Ilyara smiled. "Politics is the art of not saying what you feel, still hoping someone understands you." He laughed quietly. "Good thing we're bonded." Her face turned serious. "But even our bond is being questioned." He stopped walking. "What do you mean?" "There are whispers," she said. "Some believe I only bonded with you to gain power. I'm not thinking like a Valari anymore." Jonas looked at her. "And are you?" She turned toward him fully. "I'm thinking like someone who wants her people to live, to feel, and to change." He reached out, brushing her fingers gently. "Then maybe change is exactly what they need." Meanwhile, on Earth, news of the Valari bond had caused a stir. Some humans celebrated it as a breakthrough. Others feared. Some politicians called it a threat to sovereignty, while others saw it as the first step toward a peaceful galactic alliance, the Unity Dawn. Jonas's ship was ordered to return home with or without him. He had a choice to make: stay in Velshara or go back. Jonas stood in the docking bay, staring at his ship. Ilyara joined him, quiet and graceful. "You've been called back," she said. He nodded. "They want answers, reports, interviews." "And your people?" she asked. He hesitated. "Some think I'm a hero. Others think I've gone native." She smiled faintly. "Have you?" He met her gaze. "I don't know. All I know is, when I bonded with you, I stopped feeling alone." There was a silence between them, but it was not cold. It was full. "I'll go back," he said at last, "just for now. But I'll return, if you want me to." She stepped closer. "Wait," she whispered, "and I'll keep building what we started." Earth welcomed Jonas back with flashing cameras, long speeches, and endless questions. "What is the nature of your bond with the alien? Is the Valari mind a threat to human independence? Are you still fully human, Captain Mercer?" He answered the best he could, but he felt out of place. One night, after giving a lecture at the Earth-Mars Cultural Alliance, he sat alone in his room. Outside, flying cars zipped past, cities glowed, screens blinked, but he missed the silence of Vel's single quotes. Shara. He missed her back. On Valari, Ilyara faced her own tests. The Council had agreed to begin an exchange program. A few human diplomats and scientists were invited to stay, but many Valari feared it. Some even blamed Ilyara for weakening their purity. Still, she didn't stop. She built a center called the House of Bridges, where humans and Valari could meditate, speak, and, if willing, bond. Some bonds failed, others worked. But for the first time in Valari history, they weren't fading. Their minds were growing stronger. Ilyara's gamble was working. Weeks later, Jonas stood before the Terran Senate on Luna Base. He gave a final report. "Our bond with the Valari isn't just emotional, it's transformational. They have problems we can help solve, and we can learn from them too." An old senator asked, "And what about your personal connection to the alien princess? Can you truly represent Earth?" Jonas looked the man in the eye. "I represent something more than Earth. I represent hope between worlds." Permission was granted, he returned. Ilyara met him at the platform. She wore no crown, no royal robes, just a soft white garment and a gentle smile. You came back. He stepped down, his feet touching the glowing stone floor. I said I would. I wasn't sure. Neither was I, he said, until I was gone. They didn't need to say more. They could feel it through the bond. Together, they began working on the most important part. Trust between two species. They hosted councils where both sides spoke honestly. Valari empaths learned how humans process loss. Humans learned how to meditate with Valari flow crystals. Some even experienced bonding brief. Light versions that opened their minds slightly without full connection. There were accidents, a few. Humans couldn't handle the emotional flood. One Valari nearly broke down from a human's trauma, but they recovered. Together and slowly, something new was born. The twin Accorda, treaty of knowledge, emotion, and unity. One day, a young human, girl and a Valari child played near the garden fountain. They were laughing, pure, loud, joyful, not in sync. Not smooth like Valari laughter, but full of life. Jonas watched from the balcony. He turned to Ilyara. That sound. That's what it's all about. She nodded. Yes, it means we have a future, he smiled. So, what do we do now? She turned to him, her expression soft, her voice barely above a whisper. Now, we live it. The galaxy was wide and deep, filled with countless stars and unknown dangers. Yet, on a small world called Velshara, something new and rare was growing, a bond between two very different peoples, two very different worlds. Captain Jonas. Mercer stood beside Princess Ilyara in the grand hall of the House of Bridges. The chamber was alive with soft lights and gentle sounds, the hum of life, the pulse of two civilizations reaching toward each other. Jonas looked at Ilyara. Her eyes shone with quiet strength. After everything, do you think this bond will last? He asked. Ilyara smiled. It must, for both our peoples to survive. Their hands brushed. The bond between them pulsed like a gentle heartbeat, a connection beyond words, beyond thoughts. Outside the hall, diplomats, scientists, and citizens from both Earth and Valari mingled. Children from both species played together under the watchful eyes of their parents. Distrust that had once ruled the station was fading, replaced by hope. Jonas knew the road ahead would not be easy. There would be challenges, new enemies, and deep fears to overcome. But the bond they shared between him and Ilyara, and between their peoples, was a new kind of power. Power born from understanding, trust, and care. Suddenly, the peace was shattered. An alarm blared through the station. Red lights flashed. The calm was broken. Jonas and Ilyara exchanged quick glances. Trouble, Jonas said, his voice low but steady. They rushed to the command center. Screens showed a fleet of unknown ships approaching Velshara fast. Their design was dark and angular, unlike any Valari or human craft. Unknown vessels, said the station commander. They've ignored our hails. Ilyara's face grew serious. We must prepare for defense, but also try to communicate. Jonas nodded, agreed. The station went into alert. Humans and Valari worked side by side, coordinating shields, weapons, and evacuation plans. Jonas took his place on the bridge, watching the growing fleet through the large observation window. Who could this be? He wondered aloud suddenly. A voice came over the COMs. It was cold, mechanical. The ships were from a faction called the Shadow Veil, a group that saw the Valerius openness as weakness. They wanted control, not peace. We demand surrender, the voice said, or we will take Velshara by force. Ilyara stepped forward. We do not wish for war. We are building a new future, the voice sneered. Your future is dead. Jonas looked at Ilyara. We need a plan, said. Ilyara nodded. They gathered a small team, a mix of Valari empathic warriors and human tactical experts. Jonas and Ilyara led the team aboard a fast scout ship to meet the Shadow Veil fleet head dash on as they approached. The tension was thick. On the Shadow Veil flagship, a tall figure awaited them. Commander Chiron, a hardened Valari exile who had rejected peace long ago. You think your bond will save you? Chiron said with bitter laughter. Your kind is weak. Ilyara held her ground. Our bond is strength. Strength you have forgotten. Negotiations began, but Chiron was cruel and unyielding. He attacked. A fierce space battle erupted. Jonas piloted the scout through sharp laser fire, dodging debris and blasts. Ilyara used her empathic powers to shield the crew and send calming waves to her own fleet. During the battle, Jonas and Ilyara's bond deepened. They could sense each other's fears and courage without words. Together, they fought not just for survival, but for the future of their peoples. In a decisive moment, Jonas managed to board Chiron's ship with a small strike team. They confronted Chiron in the dark command chamber. Your fight is over, Jonas said firmly. Chiron sneered, then lunged. A close fight began. Ilyara arrived just in time, using her powers to immobilize Chiron. You have chosen darkness, she said softly. But even in darkness, there is light. Chiron struggled, then stopped. His anger faded, replaced by confusion. The battle ended with the Shadow Veil retreating. Shara was safe. In the days after, Jonas and Ilyara worked to heal the wounds left by the conflict. They met with Chiron, now a prisoner, trying to understand what had turned him so bitter. Back in the House of Bridges, Jonas and Ilyara sat together. We have come far, Jonas said. Ilyara smiled, but the galaxy is wide. Our bond must be a light for others. Jonas nodded, a light that will never go out. Their hands found each other again, the bond eternal and strong.